have had many friends sleep over at my house. I have had a lot of sleepovers for many different reasons. Sometimes a friend has a bad breakup with her boyfriend. She is very sad. She needs a place to stay and a friend to talk to. So she comes to my house. We eat ice cream from the carton. We watch sad movies together. We talk all night until the sun comes up. I hold her hand and tell her that everything will be okay. These are breakup sleepovers. I have had many of them. Other times we have sleepovers for happy reasons, like birthdays. We bake a big cake with too much frosting. We light the candles and sing the birthday song very loudly. We stay up late, laughing and telling stories from when we were young. We feel happy and safe. These are birthday sleepovers. I have had many of them too. I have also had sleepovers for stressful times, like after a very hard test in school. We call them bad finals sleepovers. We are tired and worried. We look at our books and feel stupid. We drink a lot of coffee and talk about our fears. We tell each other that we did our best. These sleepovers are quiet and serious. But I never, ever thought a sleepover would end like this one did. I never imagined that a sleepover, a time for trust and friendship, would end with me wide awake in my bed, listening to the sound of my best friend's husband on the other side of my bedroom door. The clock on my phone said it was 2:13 in the morning. The house was dark and quiet. Everyone was supposed to be asleep, but I could hear him. I could hear his soft breathing. It was slow and steady. It was a sound that did not belong there. It was a sound that made my whole body freeze. Then I heard another sound. It was a soft click. It was the sound of the little piece of metal in the door, the latch, moving just a little bit. It was a tiny sound, but it felt as loud as a scream in the silent house. In that moment, something broke. My friendship with my best friend, Leah, was 15 years old. We had been friends since we were little girls. We trusted each other with everything. Our trust was strong, like a thick rope. But that soft click was like a sharp knife. It cut the rope. It took only 15 seconds for that sound to destroy 15 years of trust. Everything I thought I knew about my friend, about her husband, and about my own safe home disappeared in the time it took for him to touch my door. Section 1. The Invitation. My husband, Mark, was away from home. He had to go to a city called Denver for his job. He was going to be there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time. When he is home, the house feels full. It feels full of his voice, his laugh, his footsteps. It feels warm. But when he is gone, the house feels very different. It feels like an empty cereal box. The box is still there. It still looks the same from the outside, but inside there is nothing. It is just full of air. It is echoey. When I walked from the kitchen to the living room, my own footsteps sounded loud and strange. The silence was big and heavy. I felt a little lonely in my own home. One afternoon, my phone made a buzzing sound. It was a text message. I looked at the screen and saw it was from Leah. Leah was my best friend, my very best friend in the whole world. Seeing her name always made me smile. I opened the message. It said, "Josh and I are driving through your town. We are on a long road trip. Is there any chance we could stay at your house tonight? We could crash with you. To crash means to sleep somewhere for a short time." I did not have to think about it. Not for 1 second. Of course she could stay. Of course they could both stay. I typed my answer right away. I wrote back, "Of course." The guest room is ready for you. The sheets are clean. The key to the house is in the secret spot. under the little garden gnome next to the front door. I sent the message and felt happy. The empty house would not feel so empty anymore. It would be full of friends. Leah and I have a long, long history. We grew up on the same street. Her house was only 3 houses away from my house. I could walk there in 1 minute. We did everything together. We were more like sisters than friends. I remember one time, my bike chain broke. I was so upset because I wanted to ride my bike. Leah saw me crying. She went into her garage and got the chain from her own bike. She gave it to me. She said I could use it. That's the kind of friend she was, and I was the same for her. Her mom made the most amazing pumpkin pie. On holidays, I would sneak into her kitchen and take a small piece of the pie from the refrigerator. Leah always knew it was me, but she never told on me. She would just laugh. We shared everything. The night we graduated from high school, we stood outside under the stars. We were so excited about the future. We made a special promise. We linked our pinky fingers together. We did a pinky swear. We swore that nothing would ever come between us. No boy, no job, no city, no fight. Absolutely nothing. We promised we would be best friends forever. Leah and her husband, Josh, arrived at my house just as the sun was going down. The sky was painted with beautiful colors of orange and pink. I heard their car pull into the driveway. I opened the door and they were standing there. Josh was holding a big bouquet of sunflowers. They were bright yellow and they made me smile. Leah didn't say anything at first. She just ran to me and gave me a huge hug. It was her special kind of hug, a squeal hug combo. She squealed with happiness and hugged me so tight that I felt like my ribs would crack. It was the best feeling in the world. We were all hungry, so we ordered Thai food from my favorite restaurant. We got spicy noodles and sweet curry. We sat on the floor in my living room and ate out of white paper boxes. We drank fizzy ginger beer. It tickled our noses. We turned on the television. There was a baking show on. It was a competition. One of the bakers was very stressed. He was running around the kitchen and he forgot to do the most important thing. He forgot to turn on his oven. We all yelled at the TV screen, "Turn on your oven. You have to turn on your oven." We laughed so much. Josh was funny. He made jokes about how neat I was. He looked at my spice rack in the kitchen. All my spices were in a perfect row, in alphabetical order. A, B, C, D. Cardamom, cinnamon, clove, dill. He said, "Wow, your spices are more organized than my whole life." He pointed at a picture frame on the wall that was a little crooked. "That picture is hanging on for dear life," he teased. My cat, a fluffy gray cat named Pearl, did not like Josh. She sat on the arm of the chair and just stared at him. She did not blink. Josh looked at her and said, "I think your cat thinks I owe her money." I laughed so hard at his jokes. I laughed until my cheeks started to hurt. It was a good hurt. It felt so good to laugh like that. It got very late. It was past midnight. We were all tired from the long day. I showed them where they would sleep. I pointed down the long hallway. "The guest room is the second door on the left," I said. "And just so you know, the light switch at the bathroom sticks sometimes. You have to jiggle it a little. FYI. FYI means for your information." They said goodnight. I went to my own room at the very end of the hall. I felt so happy and full. The house was not an empty cereal box anymore. It was a warm, happy home full of friends. I got into my bed, pulled the covers up to my chin, and fell asleep almost immediately. Section 2. The First Night. The clock on my phone screen glowed in the dark room. It said 1:42 a.m., the middle of the night. Something woke me up. I was not sure what it was. I was in that fuzzy place between sleeping and being awake. Then I heard it. Footsteps. They were quiet, but I could hear them. The floors in my house are old wood. They sometimes make noise. The sound was coming from the hallway just outside my bedroom. My first thought was about my cat, Pearl. The cat probably wanted some water. Her water bowl was in the kitchen. Sometimes she walks around the house at night. Yes, that must be it. It was just the cat. I tried to relax. I tried to tell myself that everything was normal, but then I heard something else. It was a whisper. It was very, very quiet. It was so quiet I could not be sure I really heard it. It sounded like two low words, two syllables. I could not understand what the words were. But it was not a cat sound. It was a human sound, a human voice. My body went cold. My heart started to beat very fast. It felt like it was banging on my bones, trying to get out of my chest. Bang, bang, bang. Who was whispering in the hallway of my house at 1:42 in the morning? Was it Leah? Was it Josh? Were they okay? I reached for my phone on the nightstand next to my bed. My hand was shaking a little. I grabbed the phone. It felt cold and smooth in my hand. I thought maybe I should call someone, or maybe I should turn on the light. I held my breath and listened as hard as I could. Silence. There was nothing. Just complete silence. I could not hear the footsteps anymore. I could not hear the whisper. Was it a dream? Did I imagine it? The house was so quiet now. The only sound I could hear was the air conditioner. It was an old unit and it made a loud humming noise when it kicked in. The sudden sound of the AC made me jump. I let out a long breath that I had been holding. I exhaled slowly. Maybe I was just nervous. This house was still new to me. Mark and I had only lived here for 6 months. Sometimes old houses make strange noises at night. The wood settles. The pipes creak. People call them new house jitters. It's when you are not used to all the sounds of a new place yet. I told myself that was all it was. I was being silly. I was letting my imagination run away with me. I put my phone back on the nightstand. I rolled over in my bed, turning my back to the door. I closed my eyes and tried to go back to sleep, but a small part of me was still listening. Section 3. Warning signs. The next morning, the house smelled wonderful. It smelled like cinnamon and coffee. The fear from the night before felt far away, like a bad dream that you can barely remember. Sunlight was streaming through the kitchen window. It was a new day, a happy day. I walked into the kitchen and saw Leah. She was wearing my old sweatshirt. It was a dark blue hoodie from my college, MIT. The letters MIT were written in big gray letters on the front. The sweatshirt was too big for her. The sleeves were long and they swallowed her hands. She looked so young and happy. She twirled around in a little circle. "Good morning, sleepyhead," she said. Josh was there too. He came out of the guest room right after her. His hair was all smashed and messy on one side from sleeping on it. He was holding 2 coffee mugs. He held them up like he had won trophies in a competition. He walked over to me and handed me one of the mugs. It was my favorite mug. It was a simple white mug with a big chip on the rim. It was not a beautiful mug. It was old and damaged, but I loved it. It had moved with me to 3 different apartments. It had survived being dropped twice. It had survived 2 different dishwashers that broke all my other dishes. This mug was a survivor. It felt like it had stories. "I hope you don't mind," Josh said with a little smile. "I picked this one for you." This one felt like it had stories. His words were strange. They were the same words I always thought to myself about the mug. How did he know? I laughed. But it was not a real laugh. It was an awkward laugh. A nervous laugh. Because what he said was true. But it felt weird hearing it from him. Nobody else ever used that mug. It was my special mug. Not even my husband Mark ever used that mug. He knew it was mine. Josh using it and knowing why I loved it felt like he had crossed a small line. It was a strange feeling. The rest of the day was busy. We had to run errands. We went to the store to buy normal, everyday things. I needed to buy tampons. Leah needed to buy allergy pills. Her allergies were bad in the spring, and I needed to buy more food for my cat, Pearl. We bought a can of tuna for her as a special treat. The day felt normal. We drove in the car with the windows down. We sang along to songs on the radio, but I started to notice something strange about Josh. It was something I could not quite put my finger on. Every time I left a room and came back, I would find him looking at my things. He was not just looking, he was scanning my shelves. He looked at them like he was in a museum. He was studying them. My bookshelf in particular seemed to fascinate him. It was a big bookshelf full of books I had collected over many years. He would ask me questions. So many questions. He would point to a row of books and ask, "Which one of these books are yours?" Then he would point to another shelf. "And which ones are Mark's books?" He picked up a book with a beautiful purple and gold cover. He looked at the back of it. "Is this one any good?" he asked. I looked at the book he was holding. I remembered it well. "It's about betrayal," I said. "It's about a woman who finds out her best friend has been lying to her for years." I expected him to put the book down or to look serious, but he didn't. He grinned. He smiled a huge, wide smile like what I said was the best punchline to a joke he had ever heard. His reaction was so odd, it made me feel uncomfortable. It was another small warning sign, another little red flag, but I ignored it. I told myself I was overthinking things. He was just being friendly. He was just trying to make conversation. Section 4, Night 2. That night, I could not fall asleep. My mind was too busy. I stayed up late, sitting in my bed, scrolling through old photos on my phone. The photos were of me and Leah. I scrolled back years and years, back through our friendship. There was a photo of us when we were 13 years old. We both had braces on our teeth. We were smiling, big, shiny, metal smiles. There was another photo of us in high school. We both had terrible bangs. Our hair was cut straight across our foreheads. We thought we looked so cool, but we looked ridiculous. I smiled at the memory. There were photos from college. In one, we were at a party. We looked tired and a little sick. We had college hangovers. We had stayed up too late and celebrated too much. Looking at all these pictures made me feel warm inside. It reminded me of our promise. We were best friends forever. Nothing could ever split us. Finally, my eyes started to feel heavy. It was past 2 a.m. I looked at the time on my phone and knew I had to sleep. I put the phone on the nightstand. I turned off the lamp next to my bed. The room went dark. I told myself, "You are safe. This is your own house. You are safe here." I was trying to calm the little bit of fear that was still inside me from the night before. And then I heard it again. Footsteps. This time, they were different. They were slower than the night before, more careful, more deliberate. Each step seemed to take a long time. The person was trying not to make any noise, but I could hear them. My heart started to pound in my chest again, harder this time. I knew it was not the cat. I watched my bedroom door. It was a white door, and I could see its dark shape in the moonlight coming through my window. Then I saw it. The doorknob. The round brass doorknob. It started to turn. It moved so slowly, gentle but steady. I saw the metal shaft of the knob rotate, little by little. I could hear a tiny, quiet squeak of the metal inside. Then I heard the sound I had heard in my memory all day. The click. The latch clicked open. The door was unlocked. The door opened a tiny bit. A sliver of dark hallway appeared. A person was standing there. It was Josh. I could see his shape in the doorway. He was just standing there, in the dark. I tried to scream. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The words were jammed in my throat. It felt like my throat was full of cotton. I could not breathe. I could not speak. I was frozen with fear. He took one step into my room. He whispered my name. His voice was low and soft. "Leah's asleep," he whispered. "She's fast asleep. I needed to talk to you. I just needed to talk." My brain finally started to work again. I had to do something. My phone. My phone was on the nightstand. I could call for help. I could call the police. I reached my hand out, moving it slowly across the sheet towards the nightstand where my phone was charging. But he saw me. He moved so fast. He crossed the room in 2 big steps, and he put his hand on top of mine, pinning my hand and my phone to the mattress. His hand was big and heavy. I could feel the warmth of his skin. "Please," he whispered. "Don't. Just 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes to explain, then I will go. I will disappear, I promise." I was so scared. I did not know what to do. My mind was racing. Should I fight? Should I scream? But his voice sounded sad, not angry, not dangerous, just sad. And I was so shocked, so confused. So stupidly, I did something I never thought I would do. I nodded my head, just a small, tiny nod. I agreed to listen. Section 5. The Secret. Josh took his hand off of mine. He took a step back from the bed. He did not turn on the light. We were still in the dark room with only the pale moonlight from the window. He started to talk. His voice was so quiet I had to lean in a little bit to hear what he was saying. "Leah never stops talking about you," he started. His voice was soft and shaky. "I know you two are best friends, but it's more than that. She talks about you all the time. But she does not talk about good memories like your trips or your old jokes. It's different. It's like obsessions. She is obsessed with you." I just stared at the dark shape of him. What was he talking about? Obsessed? Leah loved me, I knew that. But this word felt dark and strange. He continued. "Every time we have a fight, every single time she brings you up. It doesn't matter what the fight is about. It could be about money or about what to have for dinner. It always circles back to you. She will say things like, 'Well, she would understand,' or 'She would agree with me.' She says you're the only one who truly knows her, the only person in the world who really gets her." My stomach felt strange. It felt like it was suddenly empty and cold. A hollow feeling. I did not know what to say. This was a side of Leah I had never seen. Josh took a shaky breath. His voice cracked when he spoke the next words. It sounded like he was about to cry. "She even told me something a few weeks ago," he said. "We had a big fight, And she told me that if she could redo her whole life, if she could go back and start over, she would pick you. She would choose a life with you, not me, not her husband. The words hit me like a physical blow. I could not breathe. I just stared at him. Leah said that? My Leah? It did not seem possible. Was he lying? Why would he lie about something so terrible? There's more, Josh said, his voice now just a whisper. There is something else you need to know. Leah is pregnant. Pregnant. The word hung in the air between us. She hasn't told anyone yet, he went on. Not her mom, not her sister, not even you. She's about 8 weeks pregnant. She wanted to be sure about something first. She told me she wanted to be sure that the baby looks like me. Suddenly, the whole day clicked into place in my mind. The room started to feel like it was tilting to one side. Leah was pregnant. That explained everything. She had been complaining about feeling sick. 8 weeks of nausea. She said she ate bad tacos last week. That was a lie. It was morning sickness. She was drinking ginger beer and chewing on ginger chews all day. Ginger helps with an upset stomach. It all made sense now. The puzzle pieces fit together perfectly. I looked at Josh. In the dim light, I could see that his eyes were wet. There were tears on his face. I can't be the person who makes her unhappy, he said. I can't be the reason she regrets everything in her life. I love her so much, but I think she loves you more. I had to tell you. You had to hear it from me because she will never tell you. He did not say anything else. He started to back away from my bed, towards the door. He held his palms up like he was surrendering to a referee in a game that nobody else could see. It was a strange, sad gesture. He backed out of the room, pulled the door closed behind him. This time, the click of the latch was very quiet. I listened. I waited. The floorboards in the hallway did not creak again. He was gone. Section 6. Panic and Proof. I did not sleep for the rest of the night. I just sat up in my bed with the covers pulled up to my chin. I sat there for hours in the dark as the moon moved across the sky. I sat there until the first pale gray light of the sun started to show at the edges of my window. My mind was a mess. It was like a ping-pong game was happening inside my head. My thoughts were bouncing back and forth between two terrible things. On one side of the table was this fact. Leah's husband, my best friend's husband, broke into my room in the middle of the night. He violated my privacy. He scared me. He crossed a line that should never, ever be crossed. That was a huge, terrifying thing. But on the other side of the table was this other fact. Leah's secret. She was pregnant. She was maybe unhappy in her marriage. She was having a baby with a man she might not want to be with. This was a huge, heartbreaking thing. Which was worse? What should I be more focused on? The panic of what Josh did, or the pain of what Leah was going through? My mind kept going back and forth, ping pong, ping pong. I felt angry and scared, but I also felt incredibly sad for my friend. I needed proof. A part of my brain, a small logical part, told me that I needed proof. Maybe Josh was lying. Maybe this was all some crazy, cruel game. He seemed so sincere, so sad, but people can lie. I needed to know for sure. I needed proof about the pregnancy. When the sun was fully up, I got out of bed. My legs felt shaky. I opened my bedroom door very slowly. The house was quiet. I crept down the hallway like a burglar in my own home. I moved towards the guest room. The door was cracked open just a little bit. I pushed it open an inch more very carefully so it would not make a sound. I peeked inside. Leah was sleeping on her side. She looked peaceful. Her hand was tucked under her cheek, just like she used to sleep when we were in middle school and had sleepovers. She looked so innocent. Josh was on the other side of the bed. He was not under the covers. He was lying on top of the covers, on his back. He still had his shoes on. His sneakers were dirty on the white bedspread. He was snoring softly. Then I saw it. Her phone. It was on the nightstand next to her side of the bed. It was plugged into the wall, charging. My heart started to beat fast again. I knew what I had to do. I needed to look at her phone. It felt wrong. It felt like a terrible betrayal of her trust. But I had to know the truth. I snuck into the room. I tiptoed across the floor. I held my breath. I reached for her phone. I picked it up. My hands were sweating. I turned on the screen. It was locked. It needed a passcode, a 4-digit number. I took a guess. I knew her so well. When we played basketball in high school, my jersey number was 21. Her jersey number was 12. We always joked that they were opposites. I typed in the numbers, reversed, 1, 2, 2, 1. The phone unlocked. I was in. I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. I quickly opened her text messages. I scrolled down. I saw a name, Dr. Klein. I clicked on it. There were several messages. They were appointment confirmations. Your appointment with Dr. Klein is confirmed for Tuesday. And another one. Ultrasound scheduled for next week. I scrolled up. I saw the first message from the doctor's office. It confirmed her first appointment and said she was approximately 8 weeks pregnant. 8 weeks. Josh was telling the truth. All of it. I felt sick to my stomach. I quickly turned off the phone and put it back on the nightstand, exactly where I found it. I backed out of the room as quietly as I had come in. I felt like a thief. I had stolen her secret. Section 7, Confrontation. I went to the kitchen and tried to act normal. Acting normal felt like the hardest thing in the world to do. I decided to make pancakes, a normal, happy breakfast. I got out the flour, the eggs, the milk. My hands were shaking so hard I spilled some of the pancake mix on the counter. I mixed the batter, my heart pounding with every stir of the spoon. I poured the batter onto the hot griddle. The kitchen filled with the sweet smell of pancakes and the bitter smell of coffee brewing. I put plates on the table and glasses for orange juice. I was creating a scene of normalcy, a perfect picture of a happy morning with friends. Leah came into the kitchen, smiling and happy. She did not know what had happened while she was asleep. She did not know that her whole world had been turned upside down. She beamed at me. "Pancakes, you are the best host ever," she said, giving me a quick hug. The hug felt different today. Josh came in a minute later. He looked tired. He would not look at me at first. He sat down at the table and stared at his plate. I put a stack of pancakes in front of him. He looked up and his eyes met mine for just a second. There was a whole conversation in that one look. He knew that I knew. I knew that he knew. "These look great," he said quietly. "Best pancakes I've had in years." We ate in near silence. Leah did all the talking. She talked about the rest of their road trip, about the places they wanted to see. I just nodded and smiled. My smiles felt fake and tight on my face. After breakfast, Leah said she was going to hop in the shower before they got back on the road. As soon as I heard the water in the bathroom turn on, I knew this was my chance. It was just me and Josh in the kitchen. I turned to him. My voice was low and steady. I did not want to yell. I wanted him to know I was serious. You come near my room again, I call the cops, I said. There will be no warnings, no second chances. Do you understand me? He stopped eating. He carefully set his fork down on his plate. He looked at me. His face was full of regret. I had to tell you, he said. She won't ever tell you the truth. You needed to know. That was not your job, I said, my voice sharp. It was not your secret to tell, and it was not your place to come into my room. I just needed to know if he started to say, but I did not let him finish. I knew what he was going to ask. He wanted to know if I had feelings for Leah, too. I cut him off. I love Leah, I said, my voice firm. I have always loved her. She is my best friend. She is like my sister. But I do not love her in the way you are thinking. I do not love her in the way you are implying. And I definitely do not love her enough to excuse what you did. You have no right to sneak into my room like some villain in a bad Lifetime movie. He looked down at his plate. He nodded his head slowly. He looked so different from the confident, funny man from the first night. He looked small, defeated. I'm sorry, he whispered. You're right. I'm so sorry. Just then, the sound of the shower stopped. A few minutes later, Leah came back into the kitchen. She had a towel wrapped around her head like a turban. She was humming a happy tune, but she stopped when she saw our faces. She looked from my face to Josh's face. The air in the room was thick with tension. Is everything okay? She asked, her eyes flicking between us. I forced another smile onto my face. It was the biggest, fakest smile of my life. It hurt my cheeks. Peachy, I said. Everything is just peachy. Section 8. The Accidental Slip. A little while later, they were packing up their car to leave. Josh was putting their bags in the trunk. I was helping Leah carry a few things from the guest room. We ended up in the laundry room, a small room off the kitchen. She cornered me in there. She stood in front of the door, blocking my way out. She looked me straight in the eye. You're off, she said. It was not a question. It was a statement. Something is wrong. You have been acting weird all morning. Spill it. Tell me what's going on. She knew me too well. I could not lie to her face. Not really. I took a deep breath. My mind was racing. Should I tell her everything? Should I tell her that her husband broke into my room and told me all her secrets? No, I could not do that. It would destroy her. It would destroy everything. I had to tell her something, but not everything. I made a split-second decision. I swallowed hard. I know, I said. I know about the baby. Her face changed instantly. All the color drained out of it. She went completely white. Her happy smile disappeared. How? She whispered. Her voice was barely audible. How do you know? I had to lie. I had to come up with a story, and I had to make it believable. I lied badly. I looked away from her, down at the floor. I'm so sorry, Leah, I said. I saw a notification pop up on your phone yesterday. You left it on the kitchen counter when you went to the bathroom. A message came through. I think it was from your doctor's office. Something about an appointment with a Dr. Klein. I saw the word ultrasound. I didn't mean to see it, I promise. It just popped up. The lie felt ugly in my mouth, but she seemed to believe it. She slumped back against the clothes dryer. She looked so tired, so defeated. Oh, she said, I wanted to tell you. I was going to tell you this weekend. You were the first person I wanted to tell. I was scared. I don't know why. I guess your reaction is the only one that really matters to me. I was afraid of what you would think. I stepped forward and I hugged her. I wrapped my arms around my best friend. She felt so fragile, but the hug felt strange. It felt wrong. It felt like I was balancing on a fault line, a deep crack in the earth. One wrong move and everything would crumble. The hug was not honest. She was hiding her fears about her marriage from me, and I was hiding the terrible truth about what her husband did. We were both holding back. I was the first one to let go. Section 9, Aftermath. After they drove away, the house was quiet again. But this time the silence was different. Before, it was a peaceful, empty silence. Now it was a heavy, loud silence. It was full of all the things that we did not say. The echo in the house felt sad. A little while later, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my husband, Mark. He sent me a selfie. He was in Denver, wearing a bright yellow hard hat and a big, goofy grin. He was giving a thumbs up to the camera. The picture was so normal, so happy. It was from a different world, a world where things were simple. He wrote, "Having a great time." "Miss you." I typed back a reply. "Love you," I wrote. I stared at the blinking cursor for a long time before I sent it. The words felt strange. I felt disconnected from him, from our normal life. 3 days passed. I did not hear from Leah. Then I was scrolling on social media, and I saw it. Leah had posted a photo. It was a black and white picture. It was a picture of her ultrasound, a tiny bean-shaped image in the middle of the screen. Her caption read, "8 weeks of magic. Can't wait to meet you, little bean." The post had hundreds of likes. There were so many comments from people. "Congratulations, so exciting. I'm so happy for you both." They were all so happy. They did not know the story behind the picture. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. My finger hovered over the like button. I wanted to like it. I wanted to write, "Auntie loves you already," but I couldn't. It felt like another lie. I closed the app. 2 weeks went by. 2 long weeks of silence. Then, one night, very late, my phone lit up with a new text message. The time was 1:17 a.m. It was from a number I recognized, but did not have saved in my phone. It was Josh. His message was short. It said, "I told her. I told her I came to your room that night. I couldn't carry it anymore. I couldn't keep the secret from her. She hasn't spoken to me since." I read the message once. I read it a second time. I felt a cold knot of dread in my stomach. He had told her the truth was out. At least his version of the truth. I did not know what to do. What could I say? There was nothing to say. I turned my phone over so the screen was dark. I did not answer him. Section 10. The Fallout. The next day, I found out what happened. The friendship was officially over. Leah blocked me. She blocked me everywhere. I went to look at her Instagram page to see her ultrasound picture again, but a message popped up. "User not found." She had blocked me. I checked Facebook. We were no longer friends. The button that used to say message now said, "Add friend." She had unfriended me. The most brutal cut was on Venmo, the app we used to send each other money for coffee or movies. Even there, I was blocked. We had a streak on Snapchat. It was 2,847 days long. That is almost 8 years. We'd sent a picture to each other every single day for 8 years. The little fire icon next to her name disappeared. Our streak had died. Mid-sentence. It was the digital death of a 15-year friendship. A few days later, Mark came home from Denver. He walked in the door and found me sitting on the living room couch. I was surrounded by old photo albums. Pictures of me and Leah were spread all over the coffee table. He knew immediately that something was wrong. I told him. I told him everything. Well, Almost everything. I told him that Leah and Josh had visited. I told him that Josh had told me Leah was pregnant and unhappy. I told him about the awkward breakfast and the confrontation in the kitchen. I told him that Leah and I had a fight and that now she had blocked me. But I left out one part. The most important part. I did not tell him that Josh had come into my bedroom at 2 a.m. That part was my secret. It felt too shameful, too scary to say out loud. It lives in a locked drawer in my mind. Mark listened to everything. He was a good husband. He sat next to me on the couch and he hugged me tight. "It sounds like their boundaries got really blurry," he said. "It's a messy situation, but it's not your fault." His words were kind, but he did not know the whole story. It was easy for him to say it wasn't my fault. He wasn't the one who felt the doorknob twist in the middle of the night. He hadn't felt that specific cold fear. A month later, an envelope arrived in the mail. It was thick and cream-colored. It was an invitation to a baby shower. It was for Leah. It was from her mom. My name was written on the front in beautiful cursive. I held the invitation in my hand for a long time. I knew I could not go. It would be too painful, too awkward, but I still wanted to do something. I went to a store and I bought a gift. I bought a tiny baby onesie. It was a soft, buttery yellow color. I had it embroidered with a special message. It said, "Auntie's favorite." I wrapped it in pretty paper and mailed it to her mom's house. It was a small gesture of peace, a tiny bit of hope. A week later, the package came back. It was sitting on my doorstep when I got home from work. The box was unopened. Across the front, someone had written in big black letters, "Return to sender." Section 11. Reflection. The friendship is over. The silence is permanent. But the story is not over for me. It lives with me. Some nights when I am in bed and the house is quiet, I still hear things. I will hear a floorboard creak in the hallway or the house settle, and my body will go tense. I still hear those footsteps, even when I know I am completely alone. The fear is a ghost that still haunts my home. I spend a lot of time wondering about the what-ifs. What if I had done things differently? What if I had screamed that second night when I saw Josh in my doorway? What would have happened? It would have been loud and chaotic. Leah would have woken up. There would have been a terrible fight right there in my hallway. Maybe it would have been better to have everything out in the open, in one big explosive moment. What if I had told Leah the whole truth the next day? What if in the laundry room, instead of lying, I had looked her in the eye and said, "Your husband was in my room last night"? How would she have reacted? Would she have believed me? Or would she have been angry at me, accusing me of lying or trying to break up her marriage? The friendship would have ended either way, I think, but maybe it would have been a more honest ending. What if I had hugged her tighter in the laundry room? What if, instead of letting go first, I had held on and told her how much I loved her and that she could tell me anything? Maybe if I had created a safer space for her, she would have told me about the baby herself. Maybe she would have told me about her fears. Maybe my hug wasn't strong enough to hold all of our secrets. I have learned that friendships can end. They are not always forever, even when you pinky swear. Marriages can fray and break. People are complicated. But the biggest thing I have learned is about secrets. Secrets are heavy. They are sneaky. They slip into your life quietly when you are not looking, and then they just sit there, right on your chest, making it hard to breathe. They stay there until you finally find the courage to exhale them. I never did tell Leah everything. I never told her the full story. I let her believe that I found out her secret by accident. I let her husband's betrayal stay my secret. Maybe, in her version of this story, that makes me the villain. Maybe she thinks I am a bad friend who did not respect her privacy. I can understand that. All I know for sure is that my sense of safety in my own home was broken, and I have learned my lesson. The next time someone asks if they can crash at my house, am locking my bedroom door at night. It does not matter if it has a decorative lock or a real one. I will lock it. If this story made you feel something, if it made you think about friendship and secrets and messy situations, then please hit the subscribe button. I share true stories about the complicated parts of life every Thursday. Did I ever talk to Josh again? The answer is no. I never replied to his text message, and he never tried to contact me again. The last thing I heard from a friend of a friend is that he and Leah are in couples therapy. They are trying to work on their marriage. I truly hope they can figure things out, especially for the baby. Do I regret not pressing charges against him for coming into my room? This is a hard question. I think about it sometimes. In the moment, I was too shocked and scared to even think about calling the police. I just wanted them to leave my house. Looking back now, I think the bigger crime for me was the secrecy. The lies and the broken trust hurt more than the fear. The friendship did not die because he came into my room. The friendship died because of the secrets we all kept from each other. Could Leah and I ever patch this up? Could we be friends again? I honestly don't know. Maybe. Maybe one day, many years from now, when we are both older and the pain is not so fresh, we could talk. I still have her old MIT hoodie. It's folded neatly in a drawer in my dresser. Every spring, when I change out my winter clothes for my summer clothes, I take it out and I wash it. It still smells a little bit like her. I keep it just in case. It's my little piece of hope. Now I want to ask you a question. What would you do? If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? What would you do if your best friend's partner crossed that line? Please drop your take in the comments below. I read every single one. Reading your stories and your advice helps me feel less alone in all of this. It's a good reminder that life is messy for everyone, and you are not alone in the messy middle.